March 24, paper 4, variant 2. It's only one variant anyway. Enzymes are catalysts. Describe what is meant by the term catalyst. What's a catalyst? If catalyst, he's asking you about the general definition for catalyst. It's a substance that increases the rate of reaction without being changed by the reaction. Enzymes are proteins. What are the chemical elements? Chemical elements made that make up the protein. Carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, and nitrogen. Carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen are common between proteins, fats, and carbohydrates. The only extra thing in the proteins is the nitrogen. Nitrogen is extra in proteins. Okay. Lipase is an enzyme found in the human digestive system. It shows the effect of pH on the percentage activity of lipase. Describe and explain. To describe the graph, you will first say the general trend. As the pH increases, the percentage activity increases and decreases. Maximum activity was 100% at pH 7. I had steeper increase here. Steeper increase between 5 and 6. It was almost near to the y-axis, steep line. The lipase is active between 3.8 and 10.2. This is the range of activity, while before that or after that, there was zero activity. No activity. But this is the description. What about the explanation? How does the pH affect the enzyme? The enzyme is most active at pH 7 because this is the optimum pH. I have the biggest number of enzyme substrate complexes. While at high pHs or low pHs, what happens? Enzymes denature, they lose its shape, lose its active site, cannot fit the substrate anymore, and so the reaction stops. Complete the word equation to show the substrate and the products for lipase. The substrate for lipase is fats, of course, and it breaks it down into fatty acids. Fatty acids which lower the pH when they are produced, and glycerol. Fatty acids and glycerol. Okay. Lipase acts in the duodenum. Explain how the body provides a suitable pH for lipase in the duodenum. How the pH is adjusted in the duodenum. Bile juice produced by the liver is alkaline and it neutralizes stomach acids. Bile juice produced by the liver, alkaline, neutralizes the stomach acids. Question 2. Figure 2.1 shows a cross section of a human heart. On the figure, label the position of the right ventricle. This is the right atrium, right ventricle, left atrium, left ventricle. Label with an R the position of the right ventricle. I'll draw an R here. Okay? State the names of structures A and B. A is the atrioventricular valve or the bicuspid valve. Atrioventricular, which means that it's between the atrium and the ventricle. But what about B? It is inside the pulmonary artery. We call this semilunar valve. Semilunar valve. Complete the sentence about blood vessel C. Blood vessel C is the aorta. Remember how we used to memorize them? VPA, APV. This is the vena cava, pulmonary artery, aorta, pulmonary veins. VPA, APV. Blood vessel C, which is the aorta, transports blood from the left ventricle to the rest of the body. Left ventricle, this is the aorta, to the rest of the body, out to all the body cells, whatever. That's a thinking question. Figure 2.2 shows a cross section of part of a heart that has an incomplete structure. Oh, what happened بقى? There is a hole here. There is an opening between the two atria. Explain how the incomplete heart structure may affect a person's ability to transport oxygen. This is an actual condition that happens where there's a hole in the septum, so the blood from the deoxygenated will go to the will be mixed with the oxygenated blood. There's a hole in the septum, left atrium is joined to the right atrium, oxygenated blood mixes with the deoxygenated blood, so there is less oxygen pumped out of the left ventricle, less oxygen to the tissues, less respiration. Okay? See, figure 2.3 shows how the body uses aerobic and anaerobic respiration during the first 120 seconds of vigorous physical activity. Between 0 and 20 seconds, the body also uses stored energy. Okay, what happens بقى? Describe the data. Describe. Both increase. However, in anaerobic increases up to 20 seconds and then decreases, while the aerobic continues to increase and remains high. I'm just describing the lines. I can also say that at 60 seconds, the percentage of energy from both were the same because there's an intersection here. So it means that at 60 seconds, percentage of energy from both types were the same. Both aerobic and anaerobic increase at the beginning. Anaerobic respiration increases faster and then decreases. While aerobic remains high, it does not increase. At 60 seconds, the percentage of energy released from both was the same. State the balanced chemical equation. Please know the chemical equations for the aerobic respiration. It will be 6O2 plus C6H12O6. It will give me 6CO2 plus 6H2O. During anaerobic respiration and oxygen debt can build up. What is the chemical that causes oxygen debt? Lactic acid. Lactic acid is produced from anaerobic respiration. So, question 3. Figure 3.1 shows a growing plant. The plant is growing in the dark. He put it on its side, and this is what happened. State the name of the growth response shown by the plant shoot. The shoot bends upwards. Some of you will say phototropism. Wrong. Phototropism is wrong. Why is it wrong? Because he said that he puts it in the dark. There is no light, so there's no response to light. It bent upwards opposite to the gravity. So this is the response to gravitropism. Gravitropism. What is the name of the growth response? It is negative gravitropism. Explain how the growth of the plant shoot is controlled.
Okay.
Explain how the growth of the plant shoot is controlled. Of course, the growth here is controlled by auxins, which are formed at the tip of the shoot, and then they diffuse downwards. They collect at the lower side of the stem, stimulating the cell elongation so the stem bends upward. Plant roots grows towards water is another growth response. Plant roots growing towards water. State two uses of water. We just solved this in another exam. Water is the raw material for photosynthesis. It is used for support by cell turgidity. It is a solvent for chemical reactions. Any use of water inside the plant. A student measured the root length of a bean seedlings over a period of 120 hours. We measured the length over 120 hours. Calculate the percentage increase. What do I mean by percentage increase? I mean that the number was small and it changed to a big number. Type. I want to know the percentage increase. How much did it increase? So what is my rule? Final, which is the big number, minus original, which is the small number, over original times 100. He wants you to calculate the percentage increase between 48 hours. Here, it was 9. And 96 hours, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. What am I going to do? Final minus original over original times 100. 25 minus 9 over 9 times 100. This is the result I got on my calculator. I wanted to the nearest 2 decimal places, so this is how I put the number. The figure shows the concentrations of female sex hormones during the menstrual cycle. The hormones that increases in the middle is the FSH and the LH, sorry. The highest one in the middle, of course, it is the LH, and the one under it is the FSH. The hormone that increases in phase 1, what is its name? The hormone that increases in phase 2, it is the progesterone. This is the progesterone. And what is R's name? Identify the hormones. R, of course, in phase 1, the estrogen increases. What about S? The highest of the peak hormone at day 14 is the LH hormone. LH hormone. Okay. State the day or the days of menstrual cycle shown. Ovulation is most likely to occur. When will ovulation happen? You can write any day within this range. The range where the LH is high. If you write 13, 14, 15, it is correct. Okay? Or if you write the whole range, it's still correct. يبقى 13 to 16, or you can choose a day. يعني if you write day 14, it's correct. Shedding of the uterus lining. When does the lining of the uterus break down? The lining of the uterus breaks down during the first days of the menstrual cycle. I can say from day 1 to day 6 or day 7 or day 8, يعني the first week, for example, of the menstrual cycle. Describe how the concentration of progesterone would change during pregnancy. Here, there was no pregnancy. The progesterone decreased, and so the lining breaks down. The lining breaks down because of the decrease in progesterone. But what about if this woman is pregnant? If she is pregnant, what will be different? If the woman is pregnant, the concentration of progesterone increases and it remains high. Why does it remain high throughout pregnancy? To prepare for the implantation, okay, of the egg cell, prepare for implantation of the zygote, and also inhibits the secretion of FSH and LH. We stop the secretion of FSH and LH. So why do we do this? Because I do not want another egg cell to come out if there is a baby in the uterus. Okay? State the sites of production of progesterone. This is what we were just saying. During the menstrual cycle and in the first 3 months of pregnancy, progesterone is secreted from the corpus luteum, which is the remains of the follicle after ovulation. During pregnancy, placenta and corpus luteum. يعني I can still say corpus luteum because it secretes the hormone for the first 3 months. Describe the role of FSH in the menstrual cycle. FSH in the menstrual cycle. What does it do? It stimulates the growth of the egg cells, and it stimulates the ovaries to release estrogen. Okay? يبقى it allows the ovaries, stimulates the ovaries to release estrogen, and stimulates the growth and the maturation of the egg cells to prepare them for ovulation. Question 5. Monkey flower plant. State two pieces of evidence visible that shows that they are pollinated by insects.
ما عندهاش answer.
What are the adaptations? I have large petals to attract the insects. Also, I have spots to attract the insects. There is nothing else visible, yani. There is nothing else that I can see. I cannot say colorful because I cannot see colors. It's a black and white picture. I cannot see the stigma and the anther inside the flower. I cannot see them. They're not visible. You can't see. The monkey flower reproduces sexually. Describe the advantages and the disadvantages of sexual reproduction. What is sexual reproduction? You have two gametes, male and female, and they fuse together and they give you a zygote. What is the advantage of this type? Of course, it will give you variation, which increases the evolution and adaptation to the changing environment. You will have seeds, so there is better chance of seed dispersal, less risk of diseases, less susceptible to diseases. Okay, يبقى these are the advantages for sexual reproduction. What about the disadvantage? You need two parents. If there is one plant isolated alone, it will not be able to reproduce. You need pollinating agents mostly for sexual reproduction. In this flower, which is insect pollinated, you need a pollinating agent. It takes longer time. Sexual reproduction takes longer time than the asexual reproduction. Monkey flower plants were introduced to Europe from North America 200 years ago. Scientists measured the leaf area of 5 monkey flower plants growing in Europe, 5 monkey flower plants growing in North America. These are the numbers in Europe, and these are the numbers in North America. And this is the mean here. Here, he asks you to calculate the mean to the nearest whole number and include the unit. How do I calculate the mean? Add all the numbers together, divided by 5, which is the number of plants, to the nearest whole number, and there is a mark for the unit. The unit is centimeter square. What is the conclusion for the results? Conclusion. What is my conclusion? The leaves in North America has less area than the leaves in Europe. Okay, or the opposite. Plants in Europe have greater leaf area than those in North America. Very simple conclusion. Ancestors of monkey flower plants had much smaller leaf area. Explain how the monkey flower plants developed a larger leaf area over time. If he asks you about any change in the organisms that happens over time, what do I say? The first mark is to say by natural selection. This happens by natural selection. Mutation occurs randomly, causing genetic variation. So you have leaves with small area and leaves with larger area. If the environment changes, let's say the sunlight is less, for example, or whatever, the better adapted organisms will survive. Who here in this example is the better adapted? Plants with larger leaves will survive as it has a better adaptation, or I can say that it has a selective advantage. They reproduce, they pass the alleles to the offspring over many generations. The last question. Figure 6.1 shows part of the carbon cycle. Carbon cycle. Phytoplankton contains chlorophyll. How does phytoplankton lowers the carbon dioxide concentration? Since it contains chlorophyll, this means they are producers. They use the carbon dioxide in photosynthesis. Okay? They carry out photosynthesis, which uses the carbon dioxide. What is the role of zooplankton? He's telling you in the picture that the zooplankton eats the feces. The feces is the human waste or the plant wastes. What is the role? Since it is eating the waste, it is a decomposer. It eats the waste organic material, decomposes it. What are the name of two processes that adds carbon dioxide to the atmosphere? I can say respiration, I can say combustion, I can say decomposition, anything that adds carbon dioxide. So what is the effect of adding carbon dioxide there? What's the problem when there is a lot of carbon dioxide? It is a greenhouse gas. So it traps more infrared radiation, more heat energy will be trapped, causes global warming, enhanced greenhouse effect, which causes flooding. This is what happens when the CO2 increases. Pyramids of energy. You can draw a pyramid that represents number or represents mass or represents energy. For me here, I am drawing a pyramid of energy. Which level contains the herbivores? Herbivores means the animals that eat plants. So it will be this one. The first one at the bottom is the producers. These are the primary consumers, which is the herbivores. These are the secondary consumer, which will be carnivores. Explain why pyramids of energy have fewer than 5 trophic levels. Uh, Energy is lost between trophic levels. 90% of the energy is lost while only 10% is transferred. And then you give him examples. How are they lost? They are lost as the heat energy, okay, in respiration, in movement, in excretion. Also, not all parts are eaten and not all parts are digested, and you have to give him a conclusion at the end. So there is no enough. Uh, so there is no enough energy to support another trophic level. After the fifth one, there will be no enough energy to support another trophic level. Okay. Two advantages of using the pyramid of energy. We said that it shows better the actual energy transferred between the levels, and it is better than the biomass because in the biomass pyramid, not all biomass have the same energy content. And I gave you an example. If you have 10 grams of carbohydrates and 10 grams of fats, they are the same weight. They're the same mass. But do they have the same energy content? Yani if you burn the carbohydrates, will it give the same as the energy from fat? No. Fats give more energy even though they are the same mass. This is why pyramids of biomass are still not that accurate. Okay? The best is the pyramid of energy because it shows the actual energy transfer, and not all biomass have the same energy content. The oceans contain fish stocks that can be managed as a sustainable resource. What is a sustainable resource definition? It is produced as rapidly as it is removed, so it does not run out. Produced as rapidly as it is removed, so it does not run out. Fishing can be managed to promote conservation of fish stocks. Explain one way the fishing can be managed. We have several ways how to maintain fish stocks, but you have to explain one of them. Yani education. I will increase the awareness of the people, encourage them not to overfish. Quotas, which is putting limits to the people so that they do not overfish. Okay? Controlling the mesh size, controlling the size of the net so that you don't catch the baby fish, you only catch the big fish. Anything, you can write anything and it's explained.